It's Roy, Anthony, Southern Soul.
Do you want to hang out with the hottest Southern Soul star in the country? Well, here's your chance to win a meet and hang with Roy Chip Anthony in Charleston. You'll get to enjoy a luxurious 5-star hotel stay Labor Day weekend, 2 concert tickets with all-access passes, and transportation to and from the event. Plus, you'll get to choose between a round-trip plane ticket or a $500 gift card. To register, all you have to do is follow at least 3 of Roy Chip Anthony's social media accounts and email a screenshot to mohitsweepstakes@gmail.com. That's MOHITZSWEEPSTAKESS@gmail.com. Don't wait. Register today and get ready for the best weekend of your life. Labor Day weekend. We'll see you in Charleston with Roy Chip Anthony. This is the G Podcast with your host, Tommy B.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 189, the bonus episode. I call it, Dude, Where's My Press Conference? Because we didn't get a press conference as we taped today. Again, hello to political analyst Harold Michael Harvey for joining us. Thank you again, Harold Michael Harvey. How are you today, sir?
Doing well today, sir. How about yourself?
Doing well. And you know, thank everybody. I want to just thank you for supporting the bonus episodes. Just a couple of quick points, and I really want to get your take on where we are right now, Harold Michael Harvey. 45 is expected to turn himself in from what we're hearing either Thursday or Friday. Mm-hmm. And he is facing a $200,000 bail. His lawyer, the CHESEBRO, and I just call him Attorney CHESEBRO. Okay. I think he's negotiated a $100,000 bail agreement. And I guess, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but typically the way it's done for anyone else, when police make an arrest, the arrestee is booked into jail and must appear before the magistrate within 72 hours. That's the typical way. But for this, because they've already been indicted, they're going to be negotiating their terms, which is what we're seeing now. Is that correct?
Yes or no. Although they've been indicted, they still, once they turn themselves in, you still sit in jail, and within 72 hours, the state has to bring you before a magistrate who will read the charges to you. And at that time, your counsel can request bail for your bond. So this situation is a little unusual still. Mm-hmm. I guess because of the, there shouldn't be a reason for it, but I guess the reason for it is that the nature of the individuals who are being charged with this offense. For instance, if the city of Atlanta picked up someone speeding or accused of an armed robbery and take them over to the Fulton County Jail, they'll have to sit there for at least 72 hours before they're brought before a magistrate, and a discussion about bond can be had at that time. So these very rich, high-powered political figures are able to go into court, pre-turning themselves in and negotiating the terms of their release and the returns of their surrender to the sheriff, and also the terms of their release from jail pending their first appearance in court.
And from what I'm hearing is there may not be any initial court appearance based on some of these negotiations. I don't know if that's for everyone, but at least for Trump and you're hearing Mark Meadows is attempting to opt out of the local hearing for a federal hearing because he doesn't want to be tried in Fulton County. What are you hearing about that?
He has actually filed a motion he's filed 2 motions. One, to have his case transferred to federal court, alleging that he is, I guess it is true, that he is a federal employee, and because of that the work that he was engaged in with respect to the Georgia vote count was in performance of his duties as chief of staff for the former president. Then he also has filed a motion to have his case dismissed. Mark Meadows more than likely cut a deal with the special prosecutor, Jack Smith, which is probably why Jack Smith did not indict him in the federal charges that he brought against Trump. But he doesn't have the same deal on the state level with Fani Willis. And so I think he doesn't want to get caught up in a trial where he could possibly be found guilty and not have the benefit of having immunity from prosecution. So he's moved to have the charges dismissed. He's also moved to have the case removed over the federal court, which would give him a different jury pool, but the same prosecutorial team. Fani Willis will still prosecute the case, and she will still prosecute the case under the Georgia RICO statute and not the federal RICO statute. So that there's some maneuvering going on. There may be some additional maneuvering going on as the defendants begin to turn themselves in and the court proceedings actually start.
Any truth to the rumors that the feds are looking at taking the case away from Fulton County?
Well, the feds can't do that. I mean, it's a federal judge that the case will appear before, will make a decision based upon the facts, based upon whether or not it's justified. One of the things that Meadows has to do is to prove that whatever he did here in Georgia back in November of 2020 was done as part of his duties as chief of staff for the former president. And it's not likely that he's going to be able to prove that the chief executive of the United States of America has anything to do with vote counts in any state in the union. Okay.
Real quick, Fulton County Jail, as you know, is under a lot of scrutiny. As a matter of fact, Department of Justice is investigating what's been going on. And, you're talking, and I mentioned this on the regular podcast, on the full podcast, that there's 60 deaths between 2009 and 2022. You've had 2 die within the past few weeks, 3 within the month. And, of course, you had the recent settlement with the mentally ill inmate who died of a bedbug infestation and lice, and just insect-ridden cell. So you're looking at 6 deaths this year, 15 last year, so 21 deaths within 20 months. And the jail is constantly working over capacity. You've been in Atlanta for a while. Is this the norm?
Well, I practiced law for a couple of decades, and I had lots of clients who were housed in the Fulton County Jail over on Rice Street, and it has never been a pleasant place to visit, and no jail in this country is a pleasant place to visit. They all have their problems, but it would appear that Fulton County actually has more problems with how they are housing people. Number one, it's overcrowded. And number two, you don't have, because it is overcrowded, you don't have enough deputies to actually supervise the prison population. And so the guys inside and the young ladies inside of the institution are running it as opposed to the sheriff's department. And so therefore there's a lot of violence, a lot of people being attacked and beaten. And of course the bedbug infestation is terrible. The jail is in pretty bad shape. They actually need a new one. And I would think that probably what Fulton County wants is the former jail that was used by the city of Atlanta. But I think the problem is the city probably does not want to bring that type of element down into the heart of downtown Atlanta. So and the Justice Department is involved in investigating this thing, and so eventually there'll be a consent decree entered into by the Fulton County Sheriff Department and the Department of Justice, and the Fulton County Sheriff Department will agree to make certain improvements, and there'll be a federal judge who will oversee whether or not Fulton County Sheriff Department is adhering and abiding by the settlement agreement. And so that jail will be under court scrutiny for quite some time. But I think the solution to the problem is, and I had to say this because I'm a Fulton County taxpayer, but the solution to the problem is to build a new jail.
Yeah. Well, do you think the defense will possibly use the mismanagement of the jail as a way of attacking the efficiency of Fulton County? I'm not saying, I've seen, we've seen stranger things come from 45. I'm just curious if it's going to be an issue when it comes down to the trial.
It may raise it, but, it has no relevancy to the criminal charges against the former president.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it's optics,
Right.
But yeah, I agree with you. Let's switch gears. Trump's lawyers convinced him to cancel the press conference. You and I had initially we set this talk up today to really talk about the press conference, and now there's no press conference in which he was supposed to quote unquote expose the truth. What do you hear? What are your thoughts on this? I say the theatrics of Donald Trump.
Well, I'm disappointed that it didn't have the news conference. He promised that there would be a news conference that would, in detail, explain why he was completely innocent and that the charges should be dropped. I was interested to learn what justification he could come up with for his actions in that sense. I'm a little disappointed that he didn't have another news conference and dig himself a deeper hole that he eventually will somehow either dig himself out of or get buried in Fulton County. So to that extent, I'm disappointed. But, every time he talks, he makes some admission against his interests that the prosecutors are just sitting around with that pen and pad, listening and taking notes. And, everything he says, that Miranda warning, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Mm-hmm. It will be used. They tell you it may be used against you, but it will be used against you. And so we will see, he will see some of the claims that he has made in terms for his defenses to these charges. He'll see those again as the trial gets underway. So
do you think, let me ask you, with everything you just said and the things that he's claiming, when do you think we're going to get to a point to where the judges are going to say, look, one more word out of you and we're going to hold you in contempt?
Well, that word may have already been sent from the bench to counsel, because if you notice, and he's been very quiet for the last 2 weeks. And the last time he made some utterance, and that may have been threatening to a potential witness, is that he suggested that
Jeff Duncan
should not testify before the Fulton County grand jury. I think the word, from Judge Chunking in D.C., mm-hmm. I think the word went out to his counsel that she probably thinks their client is getting a little bit close to the line, and that if he steps across that line, she was not going to have any mercy on him. Because he has been, for the past 2 weeks, he's been very quiet in terms of making those type of allegations.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say, and one of the things, the other thing that's coming out of this, because a lot of the things he's saying is inspiring death threats.
Yeah.
You've heard, and the threats are piling up. We talked a little bit about, I think in the last episode, we talked about the Fani Willis threats. But Judge Chutkan, I think, just to give you an example, okay, one threat said, if Trump isn't elected in 2024, we're coming to kill you, just point blank. And I quote, so tread lightly, bitch, end quote. Her family is being targeted based on what's being reported in the media. Basically, they've said, hey, we're going to target your family publicly and personally. So at what point will, again, I go back to that point. If he says, because he's saying certain things that are skating the line, that's almost like a dog whistle to his folks to push even further. And you've already heard about one MAGA brain who was taken out last week? I mean, as we tape about a week ago. One of the most dangerous threats, the guy was 76 years old, and basically posted threats on Facebook. And when they went to arrest him or question him on August 9th to make an attempt, he was holding a gun and they had to take him out. So, that's why I say it's skating the line as he always does, but it's influencing people to make threats.
Well, he has a court appearance, I think, coming up on the 25th this week in the D.C. case. And I think that we're going to hear something from Judge Chutkan about, those threats that came into her as a result of her sitting over in judgment of this case. I think she's just waiting to get the lawyers in court, and she'll probably make some public pronouncement about what she perceived his behavior has been since the arraignment. So we may see something from a judge putting him in check, this week. But if not, he doesn't have to say very much in this charged hate-inspired environment that we now live in America. Right. In order to get his followers, who may not have the best mental health in the country, to act out violently because they feel that somehow Donald Trump is being persecuted unfairly. Yeah.
One last thing, he's opted out of the debates. Basically, as we tape this week, there's a debate on Wednesday. He's opted out, and he's also opting out of future debates. And what he's doing, you've heard probably, he's going to do an interview with Tucker Carlson and basically counter program. So when the candidates, the Republican candidates are debating, he's going to be running the episode with Tucker Carlson right up against it. What does that say to you? I mean, if I were a candidate, I'll just tell you, if I were a candidate running against him, I'd be pissed off because his lead is so far ahead. And the thing about him being in the lead is he's got more to lose than anybody on that debate stage if he does debate with them, but there's nothing that forces him to debate. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, well, actually, it's a smart political move. I mean, he's ahead by 62 points over. He has 62% of the vote in Iowa. He's a shoe-in at this point in time to win the primary. So why jeopardize that? I mean, you don't debate somebody that doesn't appear on the Richter scale just yet, because the only thing you can do is give them an opportunity to gain some ground on you. Now, the political strategy may backfire on him because he's not there. somebody may shine. But it's kind of hard to get someone to shine in this atmosphere, because I would imagine what you will have is a few people like Chris Christie, if he's in the debate, who will lambaste Trump, who will say that there's some problems in having a nominee of your party who is facing so many indictments throughout the country. So that would be one voice, and we know that voice hasn't resonated very well with the mainstream of Republican politics these days. And then you have the other group that's going to be saying really nice things about Trump, that he is being unfairly persecuted by the Biden Justice Department, which obviously is totally is incorrect. Jack Smith is a independent prosecutor, and of course, Fani Willis was elected by the citizens of Fulton County. She didn't have anything to do with the Biden administration. So you've got, that's what's going to happen on that stage, and to me, it's hard to see how you can get a candidate who can actually make some hay over the fact that the front runner is not attending the debate.
Yeah. And by the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to step up for him. What? You heard that, right?
I heard it, yes.
You know what? I feel bad for people in Rome. I really do. Rome and Dalton, this has nothing to do with you. I mean, it has absolutely nothing. She's doing nothing for you. If you listen and you're in those areas, Rome, Georgia, Dalton, Georgia 14 is her district. And this has nothing to do with that. It's just amazing how they continue to send her to waste their money and time. Go ahead.
My wife grew up in that district.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that those folks, are being, represented by somebody like that. But it's sad. Any last thoughts, final thoughts?
Well, this is going to be another historical week in Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia. And, we should begin to see many of the 18 people who were listed in this indictment begin to turn themselves in. When the date of the arraignment comes, the issues will be joined and we'll be off to the races,
Yeah, I agree. All right, y'all, episode 189, bonus episode. I'm just going to call it, Dude, Where's My Press Conference? How about that? We didn't get it. But go to HaroldMichaelHarvey.com, find all things HaroldMichaelHarvey.com. Thank you so much, Harold Michael Harvey, for joining us. We really appreciate it. And we're going to be on watch to see what happens either Thursday or Friday. We may come back and do something brief. But thank you so much for jumping in and updating our audience. Also, you can go to castropolis.net, episode 189. The full episode is there. And again, Harold Michael Harvey, let me give you, as I always like to give you your applause. Thank you so much for joining us. And with that, the 189 bonus is in the can. Peace and power to the people, y'all. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
You've been listening to the G Podcast with your host, Tommy B. The G Podcast is a production of the Castropolis Podcast Network. Thanks for listening.
It's Roy, Anthony, Southern Soul.
Do you want to hang out with the hottest Southern Soul star in the country? Well, here's your chance to win a meet and hang with Roy Chip Anthony in Charleston. You'll get to enjoy a luxurious 5-star hotel stay Labor Day weekend, 2 concert tickets with all access passes, and transportation to and from the event. Plus, you'll get to choose between a round-trip plane ticket or a $500 gift card. To register, all you have to do is follow at least 3 of Roy Chip Anthony's social media accounts and email a screenshot to mohitsweepstakes@gmail.com. That's mohitsweepstakes@gmail.com. Don't wait. Register today and get ready for the best weekend of your life, Labor Day weekend. We'll see you in Charleston with Roy Chip Anthony.